Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably know that I'm in the second half of my deep dive year into the Lenormand system. The system that was originated in Germany under the name of the Game of Hope, but became the Lenormand system when it was exported to France and they added the name of Madame Lenormand, and it has become a very popular deck globally. I can even find decks, a lot of decks here in South Korea where I am now. So just saying, they did a good job, right? And it's a great system. And I hope that you are enjoying my stumbling through this year of exploring the system with me, because I think it's a very, more than worthwhile, it's a very beneficial system to study, even if you're not going to use it on a daily practice, as a daily practice. Working with the system, I think, helps us as tarot readers to expand the way that we see cards interacting with each other, expand the way that we can imagine placing cards on tables, etc. Yeah? So it really does seem like a good training session, if nothing else. And I'm not disqualifying the possibility of leaning more into Lenormand rather than Tarot, because Lenormand is a very useful system, I think. I hope you do too. So, friends, I've got a whole spread laid out. And before I show you the spread and we talk about the cards, which we will, I would like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for being here. I'd like to thank you for joining me on this journey. I'd also like to thank you for doing those things that you do. For example, hitting the thumbs up button and for subscribing to the channel. All of those things you do help us grow as a community. And when you comment in the comment sections, that also helps YouTube know that people are engaged with the videos, and so that they will show the videos, the channel, to other people, and other people find us. So thank you for doing those things. Yes. And just in case you want a private reading from me, at the end of this video, there will be a little QR code, and my webmail, not my webmail, my web page, my website, that's what we call it, a website address will be there for my online tarot reading shop. So there's that information as well. Yes, friends, we've got a spread all laid out. So what are we going to do? I will show you the spread. I will tell you what the cards are, and just in case you are new here, I'll tell you what the kind of spread is and how we're going to read it just briefly, and then we will dive into reading the spread together. Are you all ready? Friends, here we go. Here is this week's spread. Do you love this deck as much as I do? I wish I could point you in a direction where you could get this deck. It is, I think it's lovely. It's simple, it's clean, it has all the information you need. The color palette is diverse. It is interesting to look at, even in its simplicity. I think it's phenomenal. It's called the Butterfly Lenormand. And it's called the Butterfly Lenormand because it has a very interesting little addition to the cards, which is not on any other deck that I know. Yeah, it's a butterfly. Did you see the butterflies? Those butterflies help us to remember which cards are more positive, which cards are more negative, and which cards are neutral. So the positive cards have a white butterfly on them. The more negative cards have a black butterfly on them. And the cards with a more rainbow kind of butterfly are the neutral ones. So it really does help us when we lay out a spread, especially if you're going to lay out a grand tableau, to have that little indicator there just as a reminder. And my way of looking at the cards is a little bit more nuanced than just those three. Yeah, I tend to look at things that are positive neutral and negative neutral and neutral. So I add two more categories. But I mean, if you were going to do this kind of an edition, having 5 different kinds of butterflies would just be confusing. This is perfect. This is wonderful. And unfortunately, it's beyond out of print. It was never really in print. It was a print. The creator of this deck, Mendy Dunn, wonderful artist, and wonderful human being, and wonderful tarot reader, and wonderful reader of, for example, Tarot de Marseille, especially. Fabulous. And she created this deck, and she did a really limited run, and only a few people got it. And I'm blessed to have 2 copies of it. I have the big one. This is the big one, and I have a mini version so that I can do houses with this deck. It's just great, and I really am blessed to have it. And I wish I could point you to make playing cards or something, but I cannot. And so forgive me for that. But I really, really wanted to use this deck in this deep dive. And it might come back out again when we go into houses. But so there we have it. Yeah, we have this wonderful deck. And it's a 9 cards. I call it a 9 card spread. Other people call it a box spread. I've heard it called a picture window spread or a picture frame spread. But to me, I like just using the number. It's a 9 card spread. And we're going to read this 9 card spread in several different ways. We're going to look at the columns from left to right, the left being the past, center present, right future. We're going to read them in rows, things that are at the top on our minds or things that are coming into our minds, into our psychic space. The center would be what's in our day-to-day world, and then the row below would be what's under the surface or what is rising up for us. Yeah? And then we'll look at knighting, maybe we'll look at the corners, we'll read the diamond around the central card. We'll read this in several different ways. So if you are all ready, we're going to dive into this reading together. So, friends, I will show you the spread once more, and you can have that in your mind. Yeah, this is past, present, future. This is what's on my mind. This is what's in my world. This is what's below, what's under the surface, right? So, friends, here's the spread once more. Friends, if you know me, you know that I like to get a general overview of the spread before we dive into the specifics, right? So first, let me just remind you, you saw from the upper left-hand corner, we had the whip, not such a happy card. Let me say that. It's not often a very happy card. Then the scythe, also not a happy card, but the star. Right? Then in the center we had the heart, the anchor, and the crossroads. Right? The heart being very positive. Then we had the child, the man, and the letter. Yeah? So, as far as positivity, negativity, if we look at just the cards, the significance of the cards, we can see that the whip is neutral to negative for me. Mendy has it listed as a negative card, but for me it can be neutral negative. Yeah, the scythe is definitely negative, but the stars are positive, so we're left with one neutral negative card on top, right? Because the negative and positive cancel each other out. Then we have the heart, which is positive, the anchor, which is positive neutral, canceling out the negative neutral of the whip. So we've got a positive, and then the crossroads is neutral. And then below, we had the child, which is positive neutral, the man is neutral, and the letter is neutral. So we've got a positive and a positive neutral card added together. So this spread leans positive, generally, right? If we look at the playing card inserts, which I didn't mention, I love the way that she did this. She didn't actually do the insert, which I actually prefer. But for this deck, the way that she did it, I think, is perfect. Yeah, we can see the color and the shape of the suit very easily. The number or the letter for the court cards, very easy to see. Yeah, but let's look at the suits. Yeah, so we have 1, 2, 3 hearts, which are very positive. We have 1 club, which for me is very negative. That cancels out one of the hearts, right? We've got 1, 2 diamonds and 1, 2, 3 spades. So there's a plus spade, but 2 hearts really do compensate for that 1 spade. So generally, even with playing card inserts or playing card associations, we've got a fairly positive spread. So, Let's look at this spread. What is the central message? What's the central idea? We always go to that central card. And remember, there are a couple of ways to lay this spread. You can also pull this spread out of a grand tableau too, right? If you lay out all 36 cards, you could pick out a significator card in that grand tableau and read the 9-card spread around it, right? But generally, for laying out a spread like this, you can do it in a couple of ways. You can pre-choose the significator card, look for that card in the deck, and then choose the 4 cards before it and the 4 cards after it to lay out your 9-card spread. I did not do that. I let the cards tell us what the significator card, what the central message will be. And the central message we got is this card, the anchor card. Love this anchor card. Very simple, very clean and to the point, and I love the colors. What is an anchor? An anchor is what keeps a ship in place. And remember, at the time of the publication of this deck, we were still traveling around on ships over great distances. When we did travel over great distances, pretty commonly. Yeah? There were trains. There weren't as many trains as there are now. There were no planes. There were no automobiles. There were coaches and ships and some trains, right? So the anchor is an important thing for the people of this time and for this for this system. It's what grounds you. It's what keeps you stable, right? It's what keeps you from drifting off. It's also heavy, so it can drag you down, but I don't think we're in that drag you down kind of significance for this spread because, again, we're reading this leaning into the positive. So the anchor is what? It's work for me. It's the day-to-day work. It's our stability. It's the work that keeps us stable. It's our routine. That's where it could be where we put our roots down in life. But for me, while I know people read the anchor card in that way, for me, that is more the tree card than the anchor. So it's that thing which is our work and keeps us financially, physically stable, and it's our routines that we do to keep that going. It's not the money. The money is the fish, right? It's the work that we do and the stability that it brings. And that card is modified by? It is... it's colored by the whip. Now the whip is a little bit of a it's there are several ways of reading the whip, and not all of them are going to be in play in this spread. The one that probably is not going to be in play is sexuality. Yeah, some people see the whip and they think sex, and I don't actually often. I understand why it's related to sex for people. It's that repetitive action of begging parts together, right? And it could also be more in the sadomasochistic end of the spectrum of sex, possibly, but I really don't read the whip sexually very often, and definitely not in this spread, because that's not where we're going here. We're looking at work. So the whip, it's something we use to get other beings, animals, sometimes people, to do what we want them to do, right? We crack the whip and we expect the animal or the person to get going. It's a way for us to lash out at people verbally as well, right? It's a way for us to goad animals or people into doing things that we want, but it's also that action of... In fact, in some decks, they change the whip to the broom. So it's that purging, the clearing out, and the repetitive action of when you sweep, you don't just do this once and everything is clean. You've got to do it over and over and over again, right? It's that repetitive action. So the whip is repetitive actions. It could also be exercise. for some people. It could be the motions that we do to keep our bodies healthy. I don't particularly see that in this spread, but it could be that. It could be arguments and tongue lashings. It could be power struggles, like the owner of the animal and the animal can have a power struggle, right? It could be purging, like with the broom. But here I think we're looking at repetitive actions. Now, because there's a jack here, it could be a lawyer or a student, somebody, a male figure with an unrestrained or harsh tongue, yeah, who speaks their minds, with regardless of what consequences there might be. Maybe younger, maybe a little bit aggressive, maybe a teenager, but probably a little bit older. But rather than a sharp-tongued man, I think it's that because we're coloring the anchor card with this card, I think we're talking about the repetitive daily actions of work being the center of this spread. Yeah, it's not even the stability so much as the repetitive actions of doing the work that we do to get the money that we want to live the lives, our lives. And it's not the money, it's the work. That makes sense, right? So that's what we're looking at here in this spread, the daily work. And we're going to look from past to future in regards to that. And when we look at the past, we start off at the top with the whip again. Yeah, which is, again, our routines, our repetitive actions. And in the past, maybe we have loved those actions. We get the heart coloring that. Yeah, our love of doing what we love to do and the joy we can get from that. It's also a positive yes in the Lenormand system. It's a yes card. We've got another jack here. Actually, it's interesting. We got a whole line of jacks in the past. Yeah, so a whole, do you have a younger man in your past, in your recent past? Well, maybe we're also pointing to that guy. I don't know that I have that kind of person in my life, but if you do, you can keep that in the back of your mind. Yeah, we've got another quality of jack here, which is the attractive or friendly fellow. So maybe if you have your jack in the past, the jack was maybe a lawyer or a student, right, with who spoke out, who spoke his mind, damned the consequences, but also took care of people. Yeah, was friendly to other people when he felt like it, when he was in that space of kindness. Someone who would look out for the underdog. And there are lawyers who are like that, right? There are students who are like that, who when they feel like they have to defend the underdog, they'll stand up and they'll just say what they think is right and they will fight. But then when they're with the underdog or with the person that needs to be taken care of, they're loving, they're gentle. Now, it could be that. But I think right now we're looking at the idea of our love of the work that we do, our love of our routines, our love of, or the love that we feel while we're comfortable in those routines. That brings up the child, right? What is a child? It's a baby human. Yeah, it's a new human. It's a small thing that grows over time. It's a playful thing, right? It's a playful being, one of imagination and one that can explore the world. It's a hopeful thing, a hopeful being. So the child is what? The child is new beginnings. Small things that will develop and grow. Maybe a little quicker than, for example, a tree develops and grows. It could actually be a child. It could also be childish behavior or naive innocence. And sometimes we do want to point to that naive innocence, yes? It could actually be a baby. It could be a newbie. somebody new to your company. It could be somebody new to your club, or new to your, if you go to a church, you're new to your church, or somebody who has just recently appeared. So if we're looking at that young man, that Jack, who is both the caregiver to the underdog, but also the defender, yeah, could have been a new person in our lives, possibly. But what I think is that our love of doing what we do has brought us something new, has brought us something that has the possibility to grow and expand. And so, what has that led us to now? It leads us to the present, which starts with the scythe. And the scythe is what? The scythe is what we use to harvest grain in the past. At the time of the creation of this deck, definitely, people would go out to their fields and harvest grain. They would also use it to mow the grass, yeah, to cut down the weeds in front of their houses. Scythes were very useful tools, but they're also very sharp, right? So they can be damaging if we're not used well. So what do we have as a significant, what is the significance of the scythe? It's cutting things off. And it can be painful. And it can be a sacrifice, yes? It could also be that separation that happens when we use the scythe. Part of the plant is separated from another, from its roots. But again, it could be the harvesting or the sorting or the gathering of things. And when we read this card directionally, we have a sharp side where the blade is, and we have the blunt side where the handle is. And the blunt side seems to be pointing down into the spread. The sharp side seems to be pointing off to the right? So right now we're looking at the column down. So the blunt side does what? It kicks the rest of this direction in the shin. Yeah, it activates it. Yeah, and it tells us that it's something that must be done now. It demands action in this area. So I think we're looking at harvest here of the gathering in of things, but maybe also the winnowing, the sorting of the grain from the chaff. Now, this isn't the sorting card, but it's that part it's the thing that allows us to take this stuff in and then separate them, the gathering, and to be able to sort, right? So in the present, we are gathering and we're sorting, and what is being activated, what we must do now, is the anchor, which is the work, right? Our stability right now is about gathering stuff in and sorting it out. And that is what gives us our stability. The stability of cutting things off, sorting them out, or arranging things, organizing things. Yeah? And that leads directly down into the significator, which is the man, which is for all of us. Yes? Because I'm reading this spread for you through me. So, and the one very, very nice thing about this card is not being the man specifically, but being the significator. And you can see two faces on this card, right? One looking a little bit more male, one looking a little bit more female. So this card is neither male nor female, nor trans, nor, it's all of that. So, the significator, us, could also be a leader, could also be a partner, and it can be our active selves, yeah? Our active selves in the world. So, the work that is activated in the present, which can include the harvesting of things, the sorting of things, the cutting of things, the arranging and the sifting of things, right, enhances us, gives us our stability. The stability comes to us. Yes, the routine comes to us in the present. And where are we headed? We're headed to a wonderful card at the top is the stars. Also called the star in other decks. And what is this? It's good fortune. It can be being the star. But what are stars? Stars are those little lights in the sky, but at the time of the creation of this deck, the stars were also the way that we guided ourselves at night. Now we look to the North Star and we would find our direction. Now the stars are also where we get indications of destiny or ways of reading our futures, right? Horoscopes, astrology, all of that comes from the stars. And that was a little bit more commonly taken as beneficial knowledge to the people at the time of the creation of this deck, although we didn't have the plethora of astrology, horoscopes in newspapers at the time, right? But still, astrology was seen as a fairly dependable science at the time, I think. Yeah? So what does the stars card signify for us? It's, again, good fortune. Dreams coming true, perhaps. Also destiny. Also our guidance. Also our spirituality. As above, so below. As the star in the stars, so on earth. Yeah? It could be prophecy and psychic energy, possibly. So we're moving towards a future of better fortune, of moving in the direction of the destiny which I believe we select for ourselves. Remember, this channel is all about living life intentionally. And for me, that means living a life where we open ourselves as much as possible to the power of intention, which guides us, which moves us in the direction of those events, those experiences that we have decided we want for ourselves. The jobs, perhaps, or the artistic creations, or the relationships, or the places we want to live, or the places we want to visit, or the general experiences we want to have for ourselves. We psychically, we vibrationally create them in our minds and in the larger space of the eternal natures that we are having these human experiences, and those things are placed on our path. And we move down our path in the direction of those things, and the speed that we get there and evolve to become the people who will have those experiences depends upon how open we are to the power of our intention, which is inextricably interwoven with the intention of the entire planet and the intention of the universe. Everything moves in the direction of its evolution with intention. Yes? And so, that destiny, those things that we are moving towards, we have created for ourselves. Yes? And moving in that direction, this is the direction we're moving in. And how do we do that? It's a choice, right? Because the next card is the crossroads. And the crossroads is what? This is the place where we have to choose. Are we going to turn left or are we going to turn right? Or are we going to go back? Yeah? And I love this card, especially in this spread, because we've got two very clear crossroads, two very clear paths, I should say, on the crossroads. And both of those paths are pointing towards cards. But before we get to that, so what are the crossroads? The crossroads are making a choice, and making a choice now. The decision has to be now rather than put off. Now, remember, this is in the future. So we're moving in the direction of our dreams, our destiny, and we're guided in that direction. And that direction is going to ask of us a choice. Yes? And that choice might be coming through the instrument of the letter. Yeah? It could be in written form. What is a letter? It's a written message, generally from one person to another. And it travels a little slower than the writer, but faster than the ship. Yes? So we've got this letter, perhaps coming to us. And the choice that is above it is probably indicated or instigated by this letter. The letter causes us to make a choice, to have to make a choice. And it could also be other kinds of writing. It could be a contract. It could be some other legal document. But it's going to call for us to make a choice. Yes? It could be, what other things? Document, contract, could be email. It could be a text message as well. But whatever it is, this written communication is going to cause us to make a choice. And what are the choices going to be? Now let's look at that crossroads again. One of the paths very clearly points up towards the star. Yes? The other path very clearly points toward, here it was here. Yeah? This. So, we're going to actually have to probably, well, that was horrible English. We are going to have to make a choice between continuing doing the work we are doing or moving in the direction of our good fortune and destiny. Now, isn't that interesting? So, this thing that we've been doing to keep ourselves fed and housed is not necessarily our destiny. We're going to need to make a choice between that and going on a path that we may find more beneficial, that we might enjoy better. And we'll look at why that is much later in the video. We're going to do some knighting with this star card. Yeah, we're going to need to do some knighting on this star card, I think. But first, let's look at what's on our minds. Yeah, our minds, it starts with the whip in the upper right-hand corner, the whip. So we've got this repetitive action, yeah? Repetitive action is the repetitive action that we see and we ourselves doing and that we think about ourselves doing is one of, again, harvesting things and sorting things and gathering things and separating things and cutting things off and organizing them, right? And that leads us to our good fortune. It has been where we have found our good fortune up until now. It's where we've been, it's the path of our destiny that we have been following up until now. And that's a good thing. That the indication that we're going to have to choose in the future doesn't mean that the stuff we've been doing in the past has been wrong if we realize now we want to make another choice. That doesn't, it doesn't cut off, it doesn't mean that the choices we've made in the past, that the work that we've done in the past have not been the right work. They've been the right work up until now. We don't need to discount or disrespect or look down upon the things that we've done until now, because those are the things that have brought us to become who we are right now. And that is a blessing, and that's a wonderful thing. Yeah, the repetitive work that we have done up until now that we keep thinking about is what has been our guiding star up until now, which is wonderful. That's fine. And what's going on in the world around us? Well, what's going on in the world around us is the love of doing the work that we're doing, right? Yeah, the work, and also the work of love, right? Enjoying what we do is what grounds us, what gives us stability. Yeah, the love of doing the work that we do is in the real world is what grounds us, what makes us feel like we're doing the right thing. And that is what has led us to be able to make this choice. What has led us to be able to come to this crossroads. If we haven't done that, we would not have gotten this far. But soon we're going to be given the opportunity to choose something else. Does it necessarily mean you have to lose your job or quit? I don't think so. But the kind of work that we're doing, I think, is we're going to get the choice, the opportunity to choose whether we keep doing things as we've been doing them up until now, or we choose another path. And that path could still be in the same job. It might not be, but it could be. Remember, I don't think this is a quit your job spread. Just saying, yeah? So what's bubbling up from below? What's bubbling up from below is this child, this new thing. This small thing which has been developing, is growing, is coming up from below, from our unconscious, or it's bubbling under the surface of our attention. This new thing. And this is a new thing for us. And this new thing makes us new. Because that is what the cards are telling us. It's the new thing of us. It's the new thing of us. And it's our new selves. And it could be that new thing which stirs somebody to write to us, to communicate to us. But that communication, that written communication, has not arrived yet. It's coming up, it's going to come up, but it has not arrived yet, right? But it's this nascent, this coming transformation from within that will spur somebody to communicate with us, a choice, or communicate a choice to us, or a communication which makes us think, I got to choose something. That makes sense, yes? So, this is a very hopeful spread, and a spread that we have control over. Now, let me show you the spread to you once more so you get an idea of how these cards are interacting for yourself once more. And then look at the corners and look at the diamond around the central card. Okay, friends, are you ready? Here is the spread once more. Take a gander. I think this is a fascinating spread. And we're going to look at the corners first. We'll look at the corner with the whip and the whip and the letter. It would be in these corners for you. The whip and the letter. Which is interesting and a little bit maybe confusing. The whip, we've got that lashing, that argumentative nature. So maybe Maybe the communication that we get is not going to be a pretty flowery love letter. Maybe what comes to us is a harsh or critical letter that makes us think, I got to do something different. Maybe. Or it could be a harsh or a controlling contract that makes us think maybe I need to do something different. Maybe. But we've got this idea of communication with pressure coming in a letter. And again, it could be harsh, it could be critical, it could be a little painful, but it is probably going to have some pressure into it, which makes us think, I've got to make a choice. Yeah? The other corner, on the other hand, yeah, we've got our good fortune, we've got our guidance and our spirituality and our psychic energy, which is enlivened by the child. This new thing which is coming up for us is going to be what gives us our hope. Well, I keep saying tarot, right? The star card is hope. This is not the star card in tarot. But it is good fortune, and it is guidance. It's the North Star. The new thing that's bubbling up for us is our North Star. It is our guidance. It is what points us towards our destiny. And so, I think this spread is telling us that, you might want to choose that. You might want to choose the new thing which points us in the direction of your destiny, but you don't have to. But you will have to choose. Yeah? That's what the corners seem to be saying to me. The letter is going to be with pressure, maybe a little bit of criticism, maybe with a little bit of tongue lashing, maybe not, but definitely pressure. But our destiny, our good fortune is going to come from the new thing. Of course, you don't have to choose it. And maybe this new thing is something you don't particularly want to follow. Maybe it scares us too much. Maybe we want the comfort right now in this tumultuous world of that stability of doing the thing that we've always been doing. But, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe we're asked to set fear aside. Let's look at the diamond before we get into that discussion. The diamond around these cards, the first two cards we're going to associate are the heart and the scythe, which are an interesting combination, yeah? They balance each other out. So, and we don't really read these. How were they situated? They were situated like this. Okay, so we don't really read these cards with the same direction that we would read them in the fuller spread when we read these diamond angles. So we've got this cutting off of the heart. There might be the choice might be a little bit painful. It might not be as easy a choice as I seem to be making this out, yeah? And it may be that we are so invested in the work that we've been doing up until now that the cutting off of that could hurt our hearts, even though the other choice leads us to the new thing which is good. That stepping away from the security and the stability of the work that we've been doing could hurt our hearts. And I've experienced that. Have you ever experienced that before? Where you had to leave the stability that you were relying on in the past for one reason or another, and that being very painful emotionally. even though the thing that you ended up moving towards was even better. Have you ever experienced that? That this spread seems to be pointing in that direction quite a bit. But you know what? The choice is ours. Yeah, the other corner is the crossroads and the man, which tells us that really the choice is ours. We're not going to be forced out of our jobs. If we make the choice is truly ours. So we can choose to stay where we are. We can choose to keep following the path of the anchor, to follow the routine, the work, that stability that it points towards. Or we could follow the star. And that star is really intriguing to me. Yeah? So let's look at knighting for the star. Now, knighting, just in case you haven't been following along all the way on these videos, knighting is just like a knight on a chessboard. A knight on a chessboard will move up 1 and over 2, or up 2 and over 1. So for the star card, we could go in both directions. We could go over 2 and down 1, down 2 over 1, or we could go over 1, down 2, down 1 over 2, and they both lead to the same 2 cards. Now, it doesn't matter which direction we move, they both lead to the same 2 cards, which is what? Okay, so over 2 and down 1 leads to the heart, down 2 and over 1 leads to us. Yeah, the star leads to our love, our joy, our doing what we really love doing. Yeah? So that's what I see coming in the future for us, that we are moving in the direction of doing what we love. And we get to make that choice. That choice might be difficult. It might cause some pain in the heart. But the blessing is that it is our choice. Let me start that again. If you have the opportunity to choose between doing the work that you have been doing and has been providing you the stability in your life, or choosing to do what you love, which is pointing in the direction of your, shall we say, destiny, which would you choose? Would you be able to make the choice? Would you choose the safety and security of doing the work you're doing, which brings in the resources that you want and need? Or would you be able to make the potentially painful choice of choosing doing what you love and following your heart towards your destiny, towards your spiritual path, towards what your psychic, your inner being is calling out for you to move towards? Knowing that you get to make the choice, that the eternal nature that you are is not going to be scolding you for choosing one over the other. And the choice might be fearful. Letting go of stability and of the work that we're doing and the routines can be frightening. It can cause fear. And one of my favorite teachers, who passed away in 2015, Dr. Wayne Dyer, saw FEAR as an acronym for false evidence appearing real. FEAR, false evidence appearing real. So, yes, sometimes we're afraid because we see a lion in front of us, and there is a real and beneficial purpose to that fear, which causes us to run away and find shelter and find safety and save ourselves. It pumps adrenaline into our system, and it pumps energy into our muscles so that we can run faster. But for most of us who are able to watch this video on this YouTube platform, we're mostly, almost 99.9999%, not facing real lions in our homes or on the street or where we work or where we live. Most of the fears we are drowning ourselves in come from our thoughts and worries about the future. Thus, false evidence appearing real, because we're running away from something that hasn't happened yet. Mostly. So which can you choose? Do you have the strength to choose the unknown path? Oh, maybe that's the title of this video. The unknown path of the new, which is, and why is it unknown? It's unknown because it's new and it's still growing. It hasn't become an adult yet. It's still the child, right? We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what it's going to grow into. It's an unknown path over our jobs, which have kept us stable, and maybe even the people in our lives also stable. Maybe we're the breadwinner or the rice winner or whatever your culture matches. You're the winner of the bringer home of the bacon, or if you're halal, maybe you're the bringer home of the beef side rib, or maybe it's a bushel of chickpeas. You're the one who provides. Maybe. Are you able to choose your destiny instead? That's an interesting question. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, in just a moment, my online tarot shop's QR code and web address will appear for you. Go check out what I have to offer. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.